All right, everybody, welcome back. This is The End of the World with Michael and Stu.
I'm Michael.
And I'm Stu. And today we are talking about the masterpiece of modern television. That's right, it's Black Mirror. But we're also talking about Meta and their plans to give your Facebook profile immortal life and
Finally.
Immortality. I guess immortal life is, not a typical way of saying that. And we're also going to talk off the top about the most apocalyptic thing that's happened probably in the last week, which is the launching on Friday evening, Saturday morning of an all-out airstrike sequence against Iran that Trump has intimated may last for 4 to 5 weeks or longer. He said maybe boots on the ground.
He's intimated it plenty.
It's one could almost say he's a little bit all over the place.
Yeah. Well, actually, did you learn about it through me?
No, I knew about it when I went to bed. I saw that Israel had started, and I figured.
Okay. Yeah, because I was finishing up my little trip in the UK, and so I guess I was up at like 7. So it was right when he was doing his like spiel, right?
On
he did
Truth Social.
Well, no, he like got up and he gave some thing. He was in a baseball cap.
Oh yeah.
On Friday, and the baseball cap is. I mean, again, it's not the most important thing, but I don't know what to make of this. That he's giving these pronouncements wearing like a white and blue USA baseball cap.
It's not great, and he's also in Mar-a-Lago for a lot of this. When traditionally this would be done from the beloved Situation Room at the White House, right? Made famous by such incidents as the killing of bin Laden. But, Trump does his own thing. He does it at his own pace. And it seems like he just kind of did this. Possibly there's a lot of talk that Israel has been pushing for this specific time frame for weeks, maybe months. And it's ridiculous because they were having peace talks with Iran, disarmament, nuclear talks that were allegedly making progress. And then out of the blue, the strikes, right? Which I don't know if you saw, a bunch of people made millions on Kalshi predicting the strikes.
Oh yeah, well, I mean that's now like the new normal.
That's just what happens, and we're going to get to the bottom of this. We're going to try and figure out how this keeps happening. We're not going to shut it down, mind you. We're just going to let it keep happening. It's really great.
Yeah,
great
I don't
stuff.
Know, it just, again, like we've talked about this a couple times. It's like they're not acting like they're trying to win another election anytime soon.
Well, I don't think Trump cares. I think
but never mind Trump, though, right? Like it's chaotic. The calculations that are being made when they're already not doing all of that well.
Right.
Like, this just seems so much more aggressive than even I like figured. Like the movement of all the the armaments and ships and stuff like seemed like a pretty textbook grandiose gesture from Trump to try to then go look at what a great deal I got. And then the people who were helping the negotiating it actually seemed like he may have been getting a deal that he could have even argued was like harsher or better, quote unquote, for the USA than Obama's deal. And then he just walked away from it to kill the supreme leader of the Ayatollah. Like, I don't know, man. It to me, it feels like an impetuous decision of a guy who's seen a couple impetuous decisions kind of rewarded recently.
Well,
right?
yeah. I mean, that's the line of thought that Venezuela went so well, got to knock out Iran, and then Cuba's next, right? That's the next domino. Sure. Meanwhile,
Meanwhile, one of these things is not really like the other, right? I mean, like Iran is like a regional power.
There's 90 million people there. They have a lot of missiles
in the most important area of the economic lifeblood of the world. Like,
yeah, it's not great. Oil prices, of course, shot up by, I think, 13 to 15% just today. Iran is now attacking basically every Arab state in the Gulf region and Mediterranean, and Israel, and possibly Egypt. I mean, Cyprus. There have been attacks in Cyprus. The Brits, your beloved friends.
Well, Starmer's getting hit from all sides.
Well, Sir Keir is such a brilliant leader that, he's going to have to get hit from all sides.
But yeah, I think, again, like, I don't know why whenever they start these things, we expect them, to have thought this through. They don't tend to do that.
No.
Right? Like,
no.
This just seems to be so, like, on steroids.
Well, the line of thinking I've heard is that basically, like, Israel has led the U.S. to do this, claiming that Iran was about to strike them, which is disingenuous for the most part. Mm-hmm. But they also claim there's also what the point of the operation, the sort of goalposts have shifted, if you will. First, it's like to prevent them from getting nuclear weapons, which some people ludicrously they were claiming would have happened in weeks if not for these strikes or whatever. But it's like, well, what about this?
They also were bragging a short time ago.
Well, that's what I was going to say, right? Last year,
obliterating the nuclear program already.
There is that, yes, but also the thing that I heard, or that Rubio or someone or Hegseth, one of these people, tweeted. Was like, we're also going to prevent them from being able to make roadside bombs. And it's like, well, hold up. Roadside bombs, isn't that just like as simple as like gasoline?
Did you watch Hegseth today?
I didn't watch him. No, I've been at work all day.
It seems like I watched the whole thing. I was on an airplane and
captive audience.
Yeah, that's right. And so I watched him and it's making this, this next level argument that basically says that now we can do this to somebody, a nation seeking nuclear weapons who we don't want them to ever get them ever. And argued basically that they were increasing conventional arms to provide what I believe the quote was a conventional umbrella to make it too difficult to attack them, so then they'd have time to get a nuke. And you're just like,
okay, bro.
And, like, come on. Like,
but what I've heard is the thinking is Israel just wants Iran to become a failed state, essentially. They want there to be a civil war. They want them to be completely, and then Turkey is the next target, which is when things get really crazy, because of course Turkey is in Turkey, as we must now call them.
That's another piece of how far.
Well, they're in NATO, right? I mean, you can't.
Right. What I was going to say is that, like, previous foolish and horrific endeavors into the Middle East, they've gone some distance to keep them American-led missions
with some kind of UN umbrella,
yes, but also
like
to explicitly partner with Israel presents a lot of problems with a lot of these Gulf nations, right? Who they also are partnered with. And so this is a totally different frontier of, like, actually signing up to be running sort of a joint mission like this makes it more difficult for these other nations to respond against Iran, because it's a bad look to see like they're
but on top of that, like, all of the nations that have been struck by these have some measure of U.S. presence in them.
Of course.
They all have bases. This really disincentivizes them from having that presence moving forward. It's like, well, is it worth it to get whatever money comes into us via U.S. paying leases or paying, if we're actually just going to have Tehran blow up like portions of Dubai or whatever.
When that started happening, it's like, it's almost as though whoever decided this
hadn't imagined that could happen.
Was like, oh yeah, I guess they could do that. Oh no.
Oh, they can close the Strait of Hormuz and cut off the Gulf oil.
Which is like the reason this hasn't happened forever. It's like,
there's an amazing lack of foresight at play. Yeah. It's remarkable. And
we'll get to a great amount of foresight with the Black Mirror episode eventually. So.
That's true. And I mean, we're going to leave this for now because we're going to come back in a week and talk about all of this and whatever else is in the news in more detail, because
try to give it a bit of historical background as well and stuff. So
yeah, exactly. But now we're moving on to a little news item that came onto our radar, if you will, a week or two back, which is that Meta had patented an AI technology with the thought that it could keep a profile active when the user was away. So the original test use was, what if an influencer's on vacation, but they can't afford to not be posting, so they can have this AI.
Right. Or you could create a personality and then make some sort of passive income because it would be able to generate itself. You wouldn't have
basically, yeah. And then they're like, but also, what if it could be used for the dead?
Mm-hmm.
So grandma's dead. We all miss grandma. Enter AI.
We love grandma's tweets. She was amazing on Twitter.
It was shit my dad said, except it was shit grandma said. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Little throwback. They've made this patent. They claim to have no plans to move forward with the technology.
Yeah, I always do that. Whenever I come up with an idea, I think just get a patent. Look, I'm not going to do this. We talked about this a lot, Stu. Just for fun, I just grab a patent here and there. I have no plans to move forward with any of mine.
One must, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's required. People miss their online friends, Meta tells us. The impact on users is much more severe and permanent if that user is deceased and can never,
I would say so. Yeah,
and can never return to the social networking platform.
Why can't they return?
Because of the grave and its clammy hands that has pulled them into hell.
It's great to have Meta point this out to us. I hadn't realized that the impact of someone dying was more severe and permanent than them not dying. But it's nice to have.
Well, I mean, their death is whatever, but what really matters is they're not posting.
I know. It's too bad too, because I would say that if someone did this to me, like if someone kept me going, I would consider it to be pretty much the worst thing you could do to me in death. Just to be clear,
I think that you'd be fine because you very rarely post anything, right?
No, I know, but I'm talking about. I guess that's true, right? If somehow Meta could keep me observing social media in my death,
that would be much worse.
Yeah.
The idea that this is like palliative.
Yeah, how would it work?
So basically Meta would scan all of your content that you've posted on your Instagram, on your Facebook, maybe in your WhatsApp groups, depending on, you probably have to opt into that. Like, yes, you can scan my group chat content. Mm-hmm. Probably a little dicey if some of your group chats are NSFW, but
yeah, I mean, also, like, this is one of the things that comes up in the episode. I don't want to dwell on it too much here, but
we'll get to it.
You could also see a situation, of course, where because you're dead, that someone else has the ability to opt in to maybe sharing even more information than just what Meta had, right? Providing the technology with even more fodder to build an even more realistic avatar of this person, I suppose.
Yeah, so this is a Business Insider article from a couple weeks ago, and they talked to a bunch of people. One expert is this guy, Harbinja, who says, it does not affect just legal issues, but a lot of very important social, ethical, and deeply philosophical issues as well. Thank you for that. He's a digital rights specialist who works on post-mortem privacy as well. So clearly, like, people have been thinking about this for a long time, as evidenced by the Black Mirror episode, which is from 12 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
Zuckerberg fires back. Not that they were talking, but he says, if someone has lost a loved one and is grieving, there may be ways in which being able to interact or relive certain memories could be helpful.
Oh, it could be helpful. And, even though he's not planning to move forward, right?
Well, and I'm certainly, you wouldn't monetize the content of the dead.
I'm not going to move forward with this, but let's just say, is there a scenario where maybe this would be helpful to someone?
And just on the off chance, probably.
Yeah. Look, I'm just speaking purely hypothetically. Maybe one person might find this helpful in some case.
Have you ever had it happen that one of your friends or someone you know died and their Facebook profile stayed active because a loved one like took over managing it?
No, has that happened?
Oh yeah, like my friend from college died just at the start of COVID, not of COVID, of a cancer he'd kept secret from everyone. And his dad has maintained his account to post like memorializations, but it's not creepy because he's like, every post he's like, hey, it's blank's dad here. Just wanted to remember this is the anniversary of the big show that happened. Okay. Stuff like that. And it's kind of nice because it's like, it reminds you that they're gone and that you can think about your memories of them and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's like, but it is it's little
not claiming to be the person.
Not at all. But it is still a little creepy.
Authentic. Yeah.
It's a little creepy when you log into Facebook and you see this person you know to be dead at the top of your feed or whatever, even though the first line is, hey, it's so-and-so's dad or whatever. Right. Like, so a lot of people object to this for a variety of reasons. This person, Davis, who's a kind of mourning expert, I think, says one of the tasks of grief is to face the actual loss. Yes. Really? Let the dead be dead, Davis added. Davis quipped. The idea of bringing them back, but they're not really doing that. In fact, it looks like that. That's the confusion. It's really a lot of eloquent people quoted in this article.
Exactly.
But the point being, like, the point of death is that it's permanent, right? And I mean, this is a big issue more broadly in society right now with all of the immortality stuff, with the, the idea of the singularity and tech immortality, but also the Brian Johnson, I'm going to live forever by transfusing my son's blood into me, or Peter Thiel, taking blood donor, all the things we've heard about, right? Some of which I'm sure are exaggerated and unrealistic, but there is this real part of the whole tech ecosystem that seems to me is primarily motivated by a fear of death, right?
Yeah.
And all these people just need to read White Noise by Don DeLillo, but of course none of them will do that because, for God's sake.
But I also think that, again, this is another illustration to me of like a pretty simple, like slippery slope of this whole arrangement that we have built for ourselves, right? Because while this is obviously an extreme version of like, okay, you can get all of the data from this person that they've created and they can come up with some sort of approximation of how it would sound that he would probably or most likely react to whatever event perhaps online. But also that it is, one of the tasks of grief is to face the actual loss, which is the quote from this guy Davis, or this person Davis thing. Yeah, that applies to far more than just death, right? And yet the way that we engage with the world now, for a lot of people, is that like no one ever goes away from your life completely,
right? Because their profile is still there, and you can search them.
You hear a lot of stories of people who like still like stalk or like not evilly, but like
check up on the profile of their ex.
And like there are all types of stories and couples therapy, you'll have couples that like
I caught him looking at his ex's Facebook or whatever.
Right. And like this goes down the line. I mean, that's the most basic example, but it's like there is this, even if it's the eternal scroll that you can go back to the very beginning of your time now on an app with relative ease. And you could go through your whole life on this app. That this is reordering our relationship to time and memory in a way that I think has substantially warped like our sense of socialization, our sense of coming and going, maybe in some cases good, right? You can't argue, like you're saying, like, this dad keeps this memory alive and separates it. But there are also these ways where it has really changed the way that we interact with people that we don't see. And all of the different ways that impacts you. And I would argue, given all of the other problems that you see, um, I would argue that the inability to escape from things, the inability to move on from things, to end things in the way that was possible before these things existed, been very difficult for a lot of people. And
Yeah.
I think has created a lot of as many problems as it has created kind and gentle and healthy reminiscences.
Yeah, I think that's true.
And I think now this might be the best time to go into the episode,
Yeah,
right?
this is all right. So Black Mirror, famous TV show, British, of course, started up
You watched it right away, right?
when it came to Netflix or whenever it hit the U.S. Yes.
Yes.
The
It
first,
was a phenomenon.
yeah, I watched the first few seasons. I didn't.
Me too.
I'm not
I
like a
actually
long hauler
I went through on Netflix
to see where you stopped.
and the last one I remember, which I think is the last one that really sort of broke through, was San Junipero.
Oh, San Junipero, yeah.
Junipero, sorry. That episode, I think, is the last one I really remember.
And that's one that's like a virtual afterlife situation or something.
Yeah, yeah. In some ways, it's slightly similar to what we're about to talk about, but yeah, there's kind of this afterlife that these two people exist in.
Well, we'll revisit that. Let's not shoot our shot on San Junipero.
Yeah, no, that's a great one. But like, the first episode was amazing, I thought, right? The classic, the the rare example where a TV show, in my mind, the first episode is the ideal of the show.
Yeah.
Is the one you remember. It's where the guy the prime minister has to fuck a pig.
Oh yeah. And
right?
It was drawn very directly from the David Cameron, like.
That's right.
I had forgotten that was the first one. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was a phenomenon at the time, right?
Yeah, it felt startlingly relevant. I mean, 2011 in Britain, 2012, 2013, it first comes to the US. Really at the dawn of everyone is on social media, which happens 2012. Also, the dawn of most people have a smartphone by 2012, right? Like everyone has, the iPhone is pretty ubiquitous at that point. The Black Mirror of the title is obviously the iPhone turned off, right? It's a comment on that, or just a screen turned off that's black that was reflective.
But our use of it and the apps and it wasn't as sophisticated and smooth even then. I think what I mean to say is that like the difference between what we used in this era and what was on Black Mirror feels more significant than the difference between like if you watch it now, it just doesn't feel as
feels quaint.
It feels quaint. That's right.
Yeah. Because you're like, oh yeah, that's happened. Like reality has caught up to this.
Yeah.
I mean, the point of the show is 100% to do a Twilight Zone for the 21st century. I mean, that's like the one reference point that comes up. I'm a huge Zone head. I don't know about you.
Shocked to hear it.
Yeah, we should. I even at one point thought about writing my dissertation, the final chapter about the Zone.
Oh, really?
As I called it. And then I had an advisor who was like, this looks great, except for like, what the hell is this Twilight Zone thing? I was like, all right, we'll let that go. It's created by Charlie Booker, who wrote a bunch of other TV, sort of more of a comedy writer prior to this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he did a show with, my friend was telling me he did a show with Chris Morris that they wrote together. That's apparently great. I'm forgetting the title at the moment, and then he did some other stuff. Like he primarily wrote comedy, and then he did this, and is now best known for this, obviously. And
yeah,
apparently there's another season in the works. I can't say I'm like that excited.
I haven't watched it in years, but I do remember there being quite a bit of buzz for this second season when it came back. Right?
Oh yeah, and I mean I remember
it's the end of this season. I think John Hamm is in it, right?
Yeah, I mean it's great because it's a classic anthology show where there's no repeat characters. Almost all the episodes are written by Charlie Booker, which I think is maybe why it ran out of steam a little bit as you get into series 9 or series 7 or whatever they're on now. That's very similar to the Twilight Zone, where a lot of the episodes were written by Rod Serling also. Although, because they were doing like 24, 28 episodes a season, there's a lot more outside people coming in, adaptations. They even would do the thing that production houses do, where they just would buy fully made short films and just put them up as a Twilight, especially towards the end of The Zone, the affair at Owl Creek Bridge, the end of The Zone, AutoZone. Anyway, sorry, I'm doing my thing of abbreviating. That's very characteristic and also very annoying. So this episode is the first episode of the second season. It's called Be Right Back. Kind of a funny title that calls back to horror movies a little bit. Like, I'll be right back is the thing people always say. Maybe I have Scream brain because Scream 7, Scream Mania is once again sweeping the nation. Haven't gone to the theater to see Scream 7. I don't know, maybe my Scream credentials may be revoked, but maybe I've screamed my last Scream.
Someone at a party just this weekend saying that they saw Scream 7. Huge Scream head. Said that it wasn't as good as 5 and 6, and I was just sitting there kind of slack-jawed, like, how can you still?
I mean, I've seen 5 and 6. I have to say.
Ooh. Oh my god!
They're not. I didn't see them in the theater, but
okay. Discerning.
Not great. Not my favorite. I do like that there's a new generation being tormented by Ghostface, but with 7, we're back to Sydney. Anyway, sorry. Total Scream episode soon, obviously.
Yeah.
We've got these two characters who are boyfriend and girlfriend. There's Ash, who's played by Domhnall Gleeson, and Martha, who is played by Haley Atwell, I think is her name. Yeah. And they're both up-and-coming actors at the time who've gone on to be in a lot of stuff. I think Atwell even had already been in a bunch of stuff. Gleeson was, of course, in Star Wars as like one of the Kylo Ren's evil admiral assistants. Both good actors. I think their performances in this are good. They're arguing. They're at a what the Australians call a servo, what we call in America a gas station, during a rainstorm, and they're kind of singing as they take this trip to his childhood home, which we're to understand has become their home. They're like moving back to the place where he's from. They get there. It's kind of dismal, feels a little bit run down, but there's, I think his mother has died. His brother, we learned, died when he was a child. He's kind of like the last remaining remnant of this family. There's a photo of him on the wall, on the mantle. They look at it. Yeah. And she's like, oh, it's such a cute photo. And he's like, yeah, but the story is like actually quite dark. That was like the first time we went out after my brother died. I was just smiling to like try and make mom happy, but I was actually like really miserable. So it's the point is the content of the photo is deceptive. Like looking at it.
Yeah. And there's a moment just before that's a little more like quotidian where they're talking about what music they like.
The Bee Gees.
And there's a Bee Gees. It's like, oh, I've ever heard of headphones. So yeah, it's setting up.
So like he likes the Bee Gees, but it's not something he's like playing all the time.
And it's not something that would appear anywhere, perhaps. It's like that there's still an interiority that somebody has that cannot be accessed by media or data.
That's right. And so we see them having sex, but he's kind of like, oh, he finishes too soon. We see them reflected where? In the black mirror of the TV next to them. Ooh. So he's imperfect, right? He's not a perfect lover. What a shock. No. And, she's working. She's an artist. We see the cool digital drawing board she has that's like curved and stuff. Very futuristic. Still feels a little... We don't quite have that, but digital drawing technology has improved a lot since 2013 or 12, whenever this came out. Ash has to go return the moving van, and he's like, I'll be back in a bit. Drives off, and she doesn't hear anything. She's really worried. She's calling her friends. What could be wrong? They're like, I'm sure, it's nothing. And then the cops show up.
Sure, he isn't dead. Yeah, there's no he's dead.
And he is, in fact, dead. R.I.P. Ash, gone too soon. She's devastated. We see her at the funeral, and her friend is like, there's this service that I think, you might like. I've signed you up for it. I'll sign you up for it.
He's just like way too heavy-handed with it during
the funeral.
At the wake. Yeah.
At the wake, right? Like Oh, by the way,
they do this thing, and you can actually, it's not actually him, but it sounds like him.
it'll help
it can,
I'm going to sign you up without your permission. Right.
And of course, she's so put off by this.
She screams, right?
What could possibly, nothing could recreate Ash Starmer, which I also found.
Oh yeah, Starmer of it all.
His last name was Starmer. This show's so far ahead of its
brutally
time.
on point. This sort of undead avatar called Starmer. Wow, this is did Tiresias write this? I mean, this is exactly. It's Cassandra, a script supervisor for this show. So yeah, we see her kind of painting over. Now she has inherited Ash's family house. She's kind of painting it. She's making it her own. She's confronted by the little marks where he marked his height and stuff like this. She's, it's painful. Then one night she gets an email from Ash and she's like, what the fuck? She's pissed. She calls the friend. The friend's like, just give it a try. It scans.
Yeah. I mean, she couldn't have been clearer that she wanted nothing to do with this thing. And this friend who doesn't take any more part in the episode.
Right. This is her final gesture. She's
just like, no, try it. Trust me. I know we had a bit of a tiff at the funeral, and I haven't talked to you since. I have no idea where you're at. But I did go ahead and sign him up for the very thing that you begged me to not do.
So the AI will read all of Ash's public forum posts. Apparently, at one point, she's like, he was a heavy user. He's perfect for it. So we know Ash is just out there on YouTube. He's out there on Reddit, just like.
And doesn't always see is that he uses the phone a lot in a way that this is, again, another good example, I think, of how far we've come is that he's on the phone a ton in a way that everyone is now always.
Yeah.
But it's still portrayed.
At the time, it was novel.
where the cute girlfriend who definitely deserves to be paid attention to more is like, come on,
she's like, Ash, what are you doing? He's like, I'm just posting this. It's,
right.
It's a good
and
memory.
He's so preoccupied that even though his girlfriend is so beautiful, maybe that's part of the lack of a sex drive, these types of things that are now prevalent across society. It did feel, I did note that watching it, oh yeah, that was a thing that was considered slightly different now, I think, than it is.
Yeah. And, she's also, as this is happening, discovering that she's pregnant, right? She's been getting morning sickness. She does the test. And then she tries to call her sister. She tries to call some other people. They don't hear her. The sister's occupied with her life, her kids. She can't get a hold of anyone. So she just F it. I'm just going to talk to AI Ash. Yeah. So she replies. Ash starts replying back. He has a bristling wit. I mean, he's just, wow.
It's that is something he would say.
Oh my gosh, she's bowled over. Its imitative powers are protean, if you will. In any case, she wishes Ash could be there to be the dad. AI Ash is like, I wish I could too, Eventually her sister returns her call. She's like, oh, I just got your message, but she doesn't answer because she's so preoccupied chatting with AI Ash. So what we're to understand, I think, from all this is that.
And she tells the AI that she's pregnant as well. So.
And the AI is like, wow, that's great. I wish I could be there for you, yada, yada.
But interestingly, right, one of the things that I think would kind of be, different in terms of where it would scale up to is that the AI is saying routinely that he is not him.
Yeah.
Right. There is this slight remove.
Right. The AI acknowledges its falsity.
Yes.
In a way that now.
Right. That now there's no way that it would.
No.
It's don't worry, Black Mirror creators. This can get way darker.
So much worse. Yeah. So she goes, but I was going to say she is cutting off her real friends to only talk to the computer. Yeah. Right. I mean, no one's ever done that. So that's good. Then it gets Ash's voice from scanning a bunch of videos. So now they can just chat. And she's going on hikes. She's talking about the view. And he sounds just like Ash, almost like Domhnall Gleeson himself is doing the voice of the AI. I don't know.
Yeah, this middle ground seems to be where she's sort of happiest, right?
Yeah, she's got him as a he's on the phone with her constantly, though.
Yes,
which is a little weird. little
there's
addictive.
There's a smoothness to it as opposed to like the emailing or texting.
That's right.
It seems to remind her more of the artifice of it.
Keeps him at a safe distance. It's not a physical presence, right? So, like it gets his personality pretty right. I thought as this was going on, like, what are the terms here? Like, how much is she paying for this? Do they just get her data? Are they just, are they recording everything she says? Are they obviously improving the AI based on her responses? Eventually as I said, she's on a hike. She's like, check it out. Look at the view. Ash is like, let me see the view. Take a photo, which is funny because it's like not like the AI. The AI now would just have a surveillance camera on all the time. Yes, it wouldn't be this like, take a photo for me. It's like, what are you talking about? Or it'd be like accessing the 6 CCTV networks. The drone would be flying above.
I mean, honestly, I think if it's done now, one of the things that would be way different is that the AI would be doing the leading. Yeah. I think right? Like that's one of the big switches here. Where people are relying on these things to help them. That's right. Like the AI would be like, walk down this part of the river that I can see 2 miles ahead of you. I'll guide you. I found the most beautiful view. Like that's how it would be done now. Right.
And I mean, you did a little research that kids or teenagers are turning to AI companions at like,
yes,
like a record rate, like 70% of teenagers have
70% of teens have used these things. And it's, 32% have turned to AI for help with their personal life, which just seems, do you remember being a teen?
Sure.
My God, this is a frightening turn of events. But, again, like what we're running into more and more, which this episode obviously hits on in an extreme version of a loneliness that comes out of nowhere, is like people, the atomization of society. And, alongside these studies about AI companions, you also see like over half of teens see other friends physically less than twice a week.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So it's not a mistake that, you do need to go somewhere.
That's right. Yeah.
And this is the place to go. And like I said, this, to go back to the meta thing, which obviously this all ties together a bit, but like, you see these psychoses that emerge when people use AI in this way. Now imagine adding to that it's the impersonation of a loved one.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we are toying with people.
Well, but Michael, also just like, what's to stop you from having it impersonate someone who's not dead? So say your girl of your dreams or whatever, boy of your dreams rejects you, but all their public Facebook and, well, I'm not going to have them, but I'm going to have robot them. So
sure. I mean, there's another possibility too of like, someone's disappeared and they just made to seem like they're still not alive and around. And
you mean
active.
Like they're murdered and like, but it's normal AI them. Oh, they're still posting.
Traffic.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Good points.
Yeah, and yet this Zuckerberg's like, well, there are actual situations where it could be helpful.
There could be beneficial. Yeah.
There are some where it might not be helpful.
Yeah, it's grim, man. It's grim. So she goes to she's having a baby. She's at the doctor. She gets the heartbeat. She plays the heartbeat for Ash, but she drops her phone. AI Ash is offline. She's like in crisis. She has like a panic attack. And
which reads is accurate to me.
Absolutely, 100%.
Dependent on the thing.
Runs to get a new phone. Immediately, first thing she does, she jacks back into AI Ash. He's like, don't worry, like I'm not in the phone. It's fine. I have everything. I recorded the heartbeat. Like here we are. And by the way, we could take this to another level if you want to. Which means, of course, she can order synthetic android Ash, right? Which she does immediately, totally normal, totally not at all weird. Like immediately you're like, oh, okay, so she's going to have a convincing AI replica of him with a body. Mm-hmm. Are they going to like go to social events? Oh yeah, remember Ash, my boyfriend who died? Yeah, well, he's back in robot form. Like this episode, doesn't really deal with that, but
no, it doesn't. But I think that I didn't have as hard a time with that because the way that they had built it up that she was already hiding it from people.
Yeah, no, I think that's well managed from the writers.
Yeah, it's like he'll be in the attic, as it were,
which is what that ends up happening. So when she first turns him on,
but she's still gonna fuck him. I'll tell you that much.
Well, that for sure. She's chatting with him, but as the body activates, the chat goes away, which I find again to be so fucking stupid. Yes. Like it's a program. It can be in two places at once. Like it could be on the phone and in his body. There's no reason. It's a computer, right? Yeah, I've said this before, I think, but like that's why Data from Star Trek always infuriates me. It's like, oh no, Data's like body blew up. He's dead. Oh, right, it's like Data's a fucking robot. Like put back himself up for God's sake, right? Yeah. Anyway, he comes in. He's naked. He's like, it's a little weird that I'm naked. Can you get me some clothes? She gets wasted, even though she's pregnant. And they just
do it once or something like that. It's one night.
They just immediately have a wild hookup. They have sex. I love this
part too, because of course this Ash can just go to town,
can perform forever, and is never.
And she even is like, "Where did you learn that?" And
he's like, "Some porno vids." Like,
yeah. So it's just like, okay, well, so wait a minute here. So this is where I get kind of off track a little bit. So the character is based entirely on the guy. Okay.
But it's got some routines built in because
we've been told that the guy cannot do this.
But it doesn't know that because it only doesn't have access to his sexual history.
Right. So its response to be able to compensate for that, to provide the service, is watching porn.
To become just like an unrealistic sex machine. Yeah. Quite literally a sex machine.
But then it's also like,
Doesn't that break verisimilitude?
Well, and just like what porn, like this could go really badly too, if the AI is taking in certain types of
absolutely. And I mean, she should have.
He was watching like the perfect type where it was like very
that everyone likes,
but also very loving and giving. She's going down on her as well, really paying attention. Like I don't know, but this is the thing that like my biggest takeaway from the show, I think, before we get into the ending, is like where I think it is interesting and feels kind of surface level is like, and maybe it is just because it's a TV episode,
sure.
Which I think, but is it like what would have been interesting would be more of her discovering the things that
it lacks.
The data has about his personality and about his life and how he would react to things, because we don't always react honestly, precisely to the people we are closest to.
Absolutely.
Now that to me would have been an interesting thing. And it is an interesting question for what people would actually start finding out if Meta went ahead and did something like this. It could, like, you know what I mean? Your image of your loved one that you is so necessary to protect and preserve that you want to keep it alive. But then you might find things you don't want to know, of course.
Well, particularly, like one thing she does is she uploads Ash's private emails in addition to all of his public. Yep. And probably maybe his chat histories.
My point is that in the episode, in the show, he still remains remarkably consistent with her idea of him.
Well, although that becomes the frisson in their relation, right? The actual,
sure,
the whole denouement of the thing is
right. But to me, it's like you could also have a scenario where it's somebody having to try to come to grips with the fact that this person is not who they thought they were, and maybe this is actually a more honest articulation
because it's more right, as opposed to it being
actually the types of things that he could never tell me when he was just a human, a mere human. Still.
Yeah.
Now he's a perfectly formed algorithmic entity. We actually get the real picture of everything that got entered into these various data sources.
Yeah, that's a good point. But the show doesn't have enough time for that, obviously.
Sure.
So, he doesn't. It starts after they have sex. It starts to get a little weird. She notices Ash doesn't sleep,
which is tales all this time.
Ash doesn't sleep, so she's like pretend to sleep. But she's not kind of convinced by his pretending, he's...
I got to say, that part hit home so hard. I feel like That is exactly the type of thing to be like, whoa, can you just breathe in and out like you're sleep? That was
It felt
great.
real. It felt real to me too.
Yeah.
Her sister finally comes over and is like, I want to check on you. She has Ash hide in the bathroom, or the bedroom. Sister, though, sees Ash's clothes in the bedroom, and she's like, oh, so you had a guy over. Like, I saw some man's clothes. She's like, oh, yeah. And the sister's like, I won't pry. Like, good for you. It's good to be it's good to be moving on from the tragedy of Ash's loss, right? And she's like, yeah.
Yeah, about that.
That's what I'm doing. You deserve whatever you want, the sister says. So what she notices and what ends up souring her on AI robot Ash is that he has none of Ash's negative traits. He doesn't resist her. He always is compliant. When she asks him to do something, she's like, get out of here. He just leaves. She's like, real Ash would not have done that. He would have pushed back. He would have stayed. She starts hating him. And he's like, Ash never hit you. And she's like, yeah, but maybe if I did this, he would have. She's like really pushing the boundaries of their interactions. He goes outside eventually after she yells at him, and he just stands in a field for the whole night. And then in the morning, she's like, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm feeling a bit ornamental. Can I come back in? I can only go 25 meters from my origin point unless I'm with you. She's like, okay. So then she takes him on a hike. She's had enough. She's like, something's missing. Something key about Ash's nature is missing here. So she's determined that she's going to have Ash go up to this like suicide cliff where Victorian lovers used to leap to their deaths, which was mentioned earlier. And Robot Ash at the time was like, couples never actually did that. There's only, going on Wikipedia or whatever. He's like, actually, everyone who committed suicide here was doing it by themselves. Like the lovers thing is a myth, kind of a fun. And he's like, is that weird that I just like, because that would be weird if you're talking with someone and they just instantly knew everything about everything and they were impersonating your dead partner who didn't have that ability.
Sure.
Again. So they go to the cliff's edge. He doesn't recognize the Bee Gees song he secretly loved. He sees the photo. He doesn't get the darker hidden context that Ash revealed to her because he didn't do so online. She's going to make him jump off the cliff. And he's like, okay, if you insist.
Seems reasonable.
It seems reasonable. He turns to do it and she's like, no, the real Ash would have been like, no, he would have been scared. He wouldn't have wanted this. And so then the robot seemingly learns and is like, no, don't make me do it. I don't want to die. I'm so scared. I'm so scared. And she screams, which, fair enough. We cut to...
Yeah. If anything, there should have been way more screaming throughout the whole episode. But yeah.
We cut to years later and the daughter's 10. She's grown up. They have geese. The farm has come to life. It's the daughter's birthday. She goes up to the attic. She's like, I want to bring a piece up to Ash. And we see that she's kept AI Ash in the attic. The daughter's allowed to visit him on the weekends. And, the daughter has him as like a positive image of her dead father.
Very interesting end because it implies that she has somehow come up with some healthy version of this, right? Like
it's okay to go to the attic to see my fake dead boyfriend on the weekends.
With the mom and the daughter, with her and her daughter, and just the house in general, and
visiting AI Ash is like a treat that we have in reserve.
Right, like she's not in a grief mode about it anymore,
and she's also not AI chatting with him nonstop, which is what we saw before.
But also, of course, has not gotten rid of him.
But also, so does she have other boyfriends? Like, there's a lot of questions raised by this. Like,
a lot.
Is she solid? Does she ever sneak up for a snog with
I would assume get off with him.
Yeah, if you will. If you would.
Had a loft to get off with him.
Has she told any of her family or friends? Or does the daughter talk about the robot dad?
Yeah, that's right.
Also, the other thing...
what's interesting about the time jump, of course, and all of those questions is that part of it might imply that there's a form of social acceptance now because this was a new feature. This
must be something that is widely available, right?
Yeah, so maybe
if an illustrator can afford it, right? It's not.
Maybe it is conventional for them to be hidden away, but not denied their existence. That they're there when you want to access them for a little bit. A brief reminder to show the kid what a joke
what her dad was like. an
That's
approximation. Right. And
That's
like,
right.
but surely, Michael, there are other people who are just like going to the movies with their AI dead partner.
One would think, right?
Or just living their going to the party and this is my husband. Actually, he's dead, but it's a robot. Yeah. This is like something you don't even really have to explain anymore. It must be so common.
Right. Whereas this ending makes it seem like she on her own sort of developed what she viewed her balance should be.
That's right.
Yeah. Which again, like, is sort of pie in the sky, right? Like there's always this idea with all of these technologies.
Well, it doesn't feel right. I mean, it doesn't feel
we are all gonna be able to really balance them well. And
exactly. When like everyone is now just completely addicted to phones.
We cannot get off of our phones.
Yeah. There's no way.
But surely an approximation of the person we were obsessed with for years, we'll just keep them in the attic and hang out every once in a while.
Yeah, I think that's right. So that's something that's a recurrent aspect of the show, is that it underestimates the ubiquity and the addictiveness of a lot of these things, even as it is warning us about those very things.
That's right. And it's interesting, right? Because this is like, it feels like it's more upfront now that the whole point of using these things and living in this setup is to be constantly inundated. Whereas like a lot of ads in this era, like the Black Mirror era, were more about showing how your life would basically stay the same, but this better thing. Right? So it'd be like, there'd be some commercial of like, you at a party, and you quickly see what song the song is.
You Shazam or whatever.
Yeah. And then like you have one too many and you put your keys down and everyone chuckles. And then there's a car down there.
Uber comes, right?
Yeah. But it was always like, don't worry, like the authenticity and seamlessness of life will not go away.
These are supplements. Right? These are not something that replaces.
You should keep this around and on you at all times. But don't worry, it's just as authentic, like everyone still has record players for some reason. Not just listening to their music on the worst sound system of their laptop with Spotify's like low fidelity sound. But no, everyone's still got vinyl, don't worry. Whereas I don't feel like that is the way we get sold it anymore.
Oh, I mean, quite the opposite. Everything is maximally fake now. Literally, that is what we are valorizing most as a society in AI, right? It's just like, you don't need friends. You don't need lovers. All you need is...
You don't need employees.
Is the chatbot. Yeah, I mean, you don't need...
Eventually, you won't need a job because there will be plenty for all.
Eventually, you won't need a body, Michael, right?
You won't even need to live because all of your best tweets will carry on your whole personality forever.
That's well said. So I think that's a good place to end it. Good line to end on. A good episode, well-made show. I think we've pointed to some of our interesting reservations about it, but I enjoyed it.
I do think that it was always a fairly simplistic, especially in the early seasons, effective look at the moment, right, that it was sort of springboarding off from, which was kind of interesting. But it would be fascinating to show someone this in 45 years, 50 years.
Indeed.
Because it is, like you said it in the episode, just so funny how like there are elements of Black Mirror that are portrayed as so dark, and it's so much worse than they thought.
The hell that we've made is like,
it's kind of the perfect show for the podcast.
It's so much more infernal than this. Like,
and I'm sure we will do. I mean, I think
we should come back. Yeah, San Junipero.
I mean, at least that episode for sure. We should do
just maybe for the Afterlife series when we gear that back up.
And that one, and I think the pilot as well would be the other two that I am interested in, because the pilot is pretty, I think, extraordinary.
Excellent. All right. So that's it for this week. Next week, we'll be back to talk about the news, probably focusing heavily on what's happening in the Middle East, as that doesn't show any signs of ending.
Maybe we'll be boots on the ground in China by next week, and we'll have to talk about that.
We'll be dead, actually, because of global thermonuclear war. But until then, if you like the show, you can follow us on the podcatcher of your choice. If you really like the show, you can leave us a rating and or review on that podcatcher. You can also follow us on Instagram at the End of the World WMS, where we post exciting reels that are highlights of the show. News next week. We're back in the same time zone. I fixed the audio issue that made me sound slightly slow last week. I realized a lot of my friends listen to the show on 1.5 speed. So
you just sounded like you were speaking normally.
Yeah. So I wasn't speaking that slowly, but when I listened back, just to check the audio, not that I need to actually listen to my own show, I was like, oh my God. Michael can attest. I was so angry last week.
There was a brief moment where I was like, we're not recording this week. This is going to be it. This is the first week.
Stu's going to scream. Turns out I had the sample rate set too high because I was using some effects for some music. And I didn't realize that would affect the latency. All fixed. Simple Google search told me what was wrong. So we'll be back with news next week and more pristine audio. Until then, this has been the End of the World with Michael and Stu.
I'm Michael.
And I'm Stu, and we will talk to you real soon.